Well, hello and welcome to another edition of the CSG podcast. And today we have a returning guest, Jeremy Charlillo of Nationwide Appraisal. Jeremy, it's good to see you again.
Thanks, Dave. It's great to see you as well, my friend. How you been?
I'm doing great, man. I know you're in the Phoenix area. What's the world like out there right now? Is it hot?
It's actually right now it's a very comfortable 75.
Wow.
It's been much hotter though. This is actually like a really surprising cool down. I want to say we've been in the 90s the last couple of days. We've touched 100 a couple times, I want to say, within the last week. I don't know,
Wow,
it's just part of the gig out here now.
you must be loving 75 right now.
Oh yeah, I was contemplating taking the computer and doing this all outside, but then I didn't want the sunlight to interfere too much. I still can't help it too much. It's still kind of pouring in through the windows. So
Nice. Our last conversation was interesting. You talked about the real estate, property, and appraisal services and what's going on in that world. We talked a little bit about, AI and some of that stuff. I'd like to talk about that a little bit more. But we were talking a little bit, and you were telling me a little bit about what's going on in the private and industrial lender world, aftermarket evaluation and appraisals. How are what are you seeing out there? What's happening in your world that has changed or you have to adopt to?
um, well, I mean, nothing's really changed per se. It's
Okay.
just one thing that we offer that covers that area is beyond our traditional appraisals. We have alternative valuations, we like to call them, which I mean,
Oh,
there's it's not just a one size fits all. There's a lot of different types. There's like BPOs or broker pricing opinions. Like those are used pretty commonly for like aftermarket valuations. Sometimes they can be used for home equity loans, but we also have other products that are a little bit better for like a home equity loan, like a desktop appraisal. It's cheaper than a traditional appraisal, but it's more expensive than a BPO. It's like, something kind of right in the middle of the two, but it's bifurcated. An appraiser completes the actual report. They put all the data together that they get from the property data collector, who will go and they'll go to the house, they'll take the pictures, measurements, all that good stuff, and then the actual certified appraisers putting everything together into the report using all the data that was given to him or her. And so that's another one. We have cascading AVMs. So think of like Zillow, right?
yeah.
It's like an automated valuation model is what that stands for. So we have a model that uses I believe it, and I know some of my teammates will butcher me if I get this wrong, but I believe it's 12. It might be 15, but different AVMs that we're getting data from, and we actually have a product called Merge, and it
Mm.
takes three of those values, the three most relevant values, depending on the circumstances, to give that value, and that's another really good. If you just a lot of getting preliminary values, lenders will get those done. Those are again very relatively inexpensive. Um, but yeah, it's not just the traditional appraisals. I mean, we've got that covered. Every county in the nation. So everything A to Z when it comes to traditional appraisals. Anybody that's just doing your standard loans there that needs to get like a 1004 uniform residential appraisal report done. Something like that. We cover everything. So whether it's alternative or full blown, we can do it, and we can do it anywhere.
What kinds of customers are coming to you and asking? I mean, you just taught us about three different ways that you can do appraisals.
Mhm.
Do people specify that, or is it something you guys do, or is it based on price, or perhaps what the consumer's looking for? How does that work?
No, I mean all of the above.
Oh,
It's
good.
yeah. What when we've got people that come to us and say, "Hey, you guys do this?" Whether it's somebody we haven't worked with before that caught wind that we're doing BPOs. That brings them into the door. It's another avenue for people that are already in the door, and they're like, "Hey, we actually have a use for those." So it's just a matter of like me doing my job as a salesperson, keeping people informed and educated on everything that we have to offer. Because at the end of the day, I can make sure I throw that out there to 10 clients, and it turns out 9 of them don't need them, but that one might need a whole bunch of them. So you know that's yeah, that's how
Are
it
your
goes.
Are your clients typically consumers or are they real estate agents?
Oh,
Both?
so typically our clients are like lenders, wholesale lenders, private money
Okay.
lenders. We work with large financial institutions like big
Oh, wow.
banks, community banks, credit unions. Anybody that's writing loans, anybody that is managing or anybody that's writing loans, anybody that's needs it for an after market value, whatever the case may be. I mean, we do have people that need private appraisals done too, so we cover that as well. I can't say that that's a huge chunk of the business there, but yeah, there's definitely opportunity there too for when people, for whatever reason, sometimes divorce proceedings require an appraisal, so you know, lots of different ways we can work with different people in different industries. But at the end of the day, it boils down to do you need a value on your property? And if you do,
Yeah.
we can take care of it.
So I'm guessing just from what you're saying that a lot of your clients are mortgage brokers, mortgage lenders, and real estate houses, things like that. You can
Yeah,
help them with all these different products, BFOs. Um,
BPOs,
what? What's that?
BPOs.
BPO. I'm sorry.
Mhm. That's
Can
okay.
you? Why don't you? I mean, if I'm asking these questions, I bet other people might have the same questions. Can you
hmm
explain a BPO exactly and why it might be used?
Yeah, so a broker pricing opinion is so it's not done by an appraiser. It's done by
No.
like like a real estate broker or a real
Okay.
estate agent. So they're bringing their expertise to the table. It's generally much more cost effective than an appraisal. You're not getting a certified appraiser. So, most banks, if you try to, if you're trying to do a mortgage with like a Chase or a Bank of America, for example, they're not gonna, off of a BPO, they're not gonna lend off of that. But
Right.
for aftermarket values, for things like that, for you know, properties that, and also to double check the value of a property after loans close when they're trying to, make it saleable.
Hmm.
Um, so a lot of different reasons there. Sometimes lenders will use that. I mentioned that cascading AVM. We get a lot of
Yeah.
people that'll use those, like lenders that just, hey, do I even want to do this? They want to kind of gauge, figure out what if the value is going to be anywhere in the ballpark of making it a deal that they can even do, and if a deal that's worthwhile for them and their customers. So yeah.
A lot of people, when they want to find out, like, let's say I'll use myself as an example. Let's say I'm thinking about selling my property, but I have no idea of the valuation. And a lot of people go to like Zillow or something like that to get a feel. Is this like the next level up? You would go, one of these other products, a cascading or a BPO, would give you a better idea,
Oh, absolutely,
but it
because
wouldn't
you're
cost you as much.
right. You're getting a professional opinion on something at the end of the day. So it's just like, what level of professional opinion are you looking for? Are you looking for a full-blown appraiser that basically their whole thing is valuation. That's all they do, right? And then a real estate agent is that does a BPO. That's not all they do is valuation, but they do all things real estate. So they bring that kind of expertise to the table.
Right.
And then, really it boils down to like you get what you're paying for. So the higher, the more the product costs, generally the more professional of an opinion that you're getting. Not to take anything away from anybody else, but it's just like, I mean, that's what an appraiser's career is for. That's what they get certified for. That's what they're doing continuing education for
Right.
constantly to make sure that they're, following guidelines, use PAP regulations, um, and everything under the sun there. But like, if somebody wants to just get an idea, I mean, that's what Zillow is for, is really just to give somebody an idea.
Yeah.
And not a bank, not an financial institution. Like they're not using that. I'm just talking about your average Joe. Just hey, I
Right.
want to check out and see what the value of my property is. That's what that's for. Anything beyond that, though, if you want something solid because you got something you need to take care of, whether it's a loan, whether it's just proving the value of your property for another venture, then you're going to want something like an appraisal or a BPO or a desktop appraisal. But yeah, that's what we're here for.
Do any of those, do the cascading or the BPOs, are they, I think you already told me that you can't lend off of a BPO, but
Yeah,
is that,
generally speaking, banks aren't going to lend off of a BPO like for primary. There might be, you may find somebody out there that uses them for like a HELOC, but some of our other alternative products cover HELOCs a lot better than BPOs.
okay. But you got it
Private
all. You
money,
guys can do,
mhm,
you can do whatever is needed.
yep.
And you personally, Jeremy, you're kind of leading a sales group or sales team of people. You're helping to generate some leads and, opportunities for your company. What kind of people do you want to meet? If someone sees this and they know somebody, how would they reach out to you? What would be the way to? What kind of people, I guess, would be more clear? Would want to meet or talk to?
Yeah, I mean, I've really spearheaded an initiative over the last few months. I'm taking an approach where I'm trying to cast as wide of a net as possible. I've got a team of sales representatives that are really hungry, and I've got to get them as many leads as possible. So anybody out there that feels like they can use our services, talk to me, and then I will talk to you and we'll figure out exactly what you're looking for. So that way I can make sure I get you into the right representative's hands. Somebody that specializes in your specialty, we'll say.
You'll make sure they get to the right person within your company. So anybody out there that's
Yep.
watching this, if you're in the real estate world or the mortgage world and you hear something you like, we're going to have all of Jeremy's information at the end of this. Feel free to reach out, talk to Jeremy. He's a great guy. He's been around for quite a while. He knows this business, and I'm sure he can help you get what it is that you need. Jeremy, thanks again. Really appreciate it. Can't wait for our next podcast.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.